the edge. Feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today and taking time from your Saturday to join us today. You didn't have to be here. I'm sure you guys had other things to do or other plans, but we'll start with introductions. My name is Piwe and I'll be invigilating today's presentation. I work for the African Youth Inventions. Today we're just running our program, which is the African Youth Inventions and the Goodwood Sports Club Developer Program. So throughout this coming weeks, throughout this month, we've been discussing various topics, mainly involving ex-offenders and also the youth. We're just trying to develop the youth and open our minds and get our voices out so that people know and understand what's going on in the communities and we understand each other. Sivang, and just get the conversation going. We'll just start with introductions to get going. So Kala Papandi, and then we go to the back. Just give us your name, where you're from, and an adjective, something to describe yourself that starts with the first letter of your name. So, for example, my name is Piwe. I'm from Retabach. I've lived here for more than 10 years. Since one adjective to describe myself, I would say I am peaceful. So you can call me Peaceful Piwe. Okay, so we'll move on to the front over here.
Oh yeah, what's up guys? My name is Temel. I'm from Delft to the Hague. I was raised up in Goodwood and then moved to New Cross and then now my destination is in Delft so long. My name started with S.
Oh, it's Temel.
Yes, Temel.
Oh, Temel.
I'm sexy.
Six is Temel.
I'm sexy super Temel.
Alright, so the first one word to describe yourself.
Ambitious.
Ambitious. Okay. Alright, we'll go to you. And
You.
naughty. Nice.
Nice guys.
Nice. Okay.
Mgeni kama lami ni mgeni kwenye sana. Kala ilo across the 59.
A word to describe yourself?
Marvelous.
So, Benul. Yeah, marvelous. Okay, next.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Tina Gonya. I'm from Goodwood, and I was number 19. I'm trustworthy.
Trustworthy. Nice.
How I can describe myself as
Marvelous.
Okay, now we can have the strategy. Kala ilo across kala ilo across before ndlela kana ndlela kwalanga leso ithi
one word to describe yourself?
Ambitious.
Ambitious. Right.
Hi guys, I'm Sandy. I'm from Goodwood.
Take a look at Chanel.
Someone special.
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 Next.
Crossroad. I would describe myself as an ambitious woman.
I think I'm not going to see from the crossroad down, and I know I'm ambitious.
Molweni igama lami ndimthobile Gola ndihlala eLower Crossroad. How can I describe myself? I can describe myself as a passionate community developer.
Alright, yeah, thank you everyone for your introductions in. I think so. If we can start with introduction,
Okay.
your name, where you're from, and also one word to describe yourself.
Okay, my name is Martin Shari. I'm a friend of Henry. He invited me to the session. I worked with him before on other projects, and this is well worth for my time.
Alright, another introduction for those that don't know you.
Emery. I'm the CEO for the company, so I stay here close in Vascular. So yeah, so I'm just thank you all for being part of this program. Describe again. Excited, huh? Thanks.
Alright guys, thank you for joining us today. Now that we've gotten to knowing each other and described each other, I just want to say feel free to say whatever comes to your mind. We just want to hear your opinions and your voice of what we'll be discussing today. Special thanks to Emery and Ukayeni, he's on his way, for giving us this opportunity to be here and just giving us the platform to just discuss all these topics and just hear our voices in the open. Last week's discussion was basically, as you saw in the video, about what leads people to commit crime. If you want to see the full video, it will be uploaded on YouTube. You can go onto YouTube and just check the full story, what people had to say. But basically, we're discussing what factors can lead people to crime, and it involved everything from poverty to parental neglect, low self-esteem, alcohol and drug abuse, and the systems that are in play in our communities and as South Africa as a whole. So we just came to the conclusion that with crime, it's solvable only if the community works together with the government and with the systems that are in place. From the government, we need more systems in place to make sure that people don't end up in prison, to make sure that you're not exposed to those circumstances that could push us to commit crime, such as lack of jobs, lack of schooling, and just deprivation in general because of poverty or the circumstances you are into. This week, we'll be discussing the question, what are the consequences of committing crime? I'll start off by a statement that I had read yesterday about what crime is. According to the Oxford Dictionary, a crime is an action or omission which constitutes as an offense and is punishable by law. A crime is in fact a matter of law and is not an opinion. As society changes, some actions which used to be criminal are no longer so. Likewise, some actions which were legal can become prohibited, like weed in Cape Town. So today, we're just discussing the consequences of crime. Committing a crime can have serious consequences. There are different types of crimes. Some crimes like theft some crimes like theft have victims. Other crimes like drug use are considered victimless, but they are both illegal. In illegal, economic, and even social terms, the punishment will fit the crime. Committing a crime violates social and legal rules, so the effects can follow you around for a lifetime. For the victims of crime, on the other hand, there are short-term and long effects. These short-term effects can be severe, but the long-term events normally don't cause any harm. Occasionally, people do develop long-term problems such as depression, anxiety-related illnesses, and a few people have severe long-lasting reactions after a crime, known as post-traumatic stress disorder. So today we'll be talking not only from a perspective of someone who has committed crime, but from someone who is a victim of crime as well. I'm sure all of us have been a victim of crime, either directly or indirectly. Mostly we'll be discussing the viewpoint from an ex-offender's perspective. And I'll just like to start with the opening statement that there are various challenges that ex-offenders face when re-entering the mainstreams into society. These challenges include rejection by family members and being stigmatized by society, inability to break into the labor market, struggling with adjusting to a new environment after spending many years in prison, inferiority complexes which affect the mental health, and the lack of inadequate aftercare services. This largely compromises the effects of offender reintegration and increases the chance of recidivism of ex-offenders. Okay, so that was just an opening statement of what we'll be discussing today, of what the consequences are of committing a crime. So we'll be discussing this basically on 4 major topics, which are legal consequences, economic consequences, social consequences, and personal consequences. So we'll start off by, I'm sure all of you have the same page that appears on here. If you don't, you can look on the screen. Okay, we'll start off by looking at legal consequences of committing crime. Okay, so let's start with looking at the most obvious consequences of a crime, the legal ones. Under our justice system, the government has the right to punish you for violating the law. This punishment generally comes in 2 forms. The less severe is loss of liberties or having personal rights revoked. So today I just want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the system that we have in place when it comes to the legal consequences of committing crime in terms of South Africa? Do you think they're severe enough, or they take things very lightly? People get away with crime easily. Other questions I'll be asking is how your experience with probation orders, and to any ex-offenders in the room, how do they deal with loss of freedom because of the legal consequences, in terms of the fact that now they had to follow orders and behave in a certain way. So I'll open up the question. Let me start with Ngululeko. What do you think about the systems that we have in place, our legal systems? Do you think they're severe, or they just take things lightly and they're not as good as they should be?
Andizibe ndingena kakhulu nasisebe ngathanda ijongo ukukhala yesibhekana siqale apho yabo umntu omhlophe xa ibulele uyakwazi asingafumani more than 25 ngathi lo mnyama xa ibulele afumana more than 25 siqale apho abajongisisi kakuhle yabo just because bakujongile emkhumbini bayakubona uba bagqibe uba umntu onjani. Ithatha uba bakuve wena uba uyenze le nto leyenzi. Uyabona, I believe there is second chance kumntu wonke. Ayisoloko ugwetywa, uyabona. Into bekhona noproblem enje, umntu xa ibanjiwe ubona akwazi uba athunyelwe kuyo, asuke amanisiya khona qha.
I'll go to ambitious Ayanda. What has your experience been with probation orders? In doing probation, do you think it's something that is really happening in our society, or do you see it effective after imprisonment? Like, do people really pay attention to these with probation? Do they follow orders?
Iskunjani abanye yabo bazilandela
abanye abazilandeli. But mina sisike ngifuna ukuthetha yona sihlabayo thina bantu baphuma ejele. Phayana ejele ne unikwa isikolo phaa bafunda yabo uyabhandela. Yabo unikwe iskimu yabo okanye wenze i-carpentry okanye loo nto okanye i-welding okanye i-welding yabo uzenze zonke ezo zinto zabo yabo uphume unezo ndebe yabo. Xa ufika ngaphandle ngezampepha ziyacima ngoba ntoni uqwaliswe ngubani ngugovernment uqwaliswe nguye uba ungafumani ntoni umsebenzi. Kodwa bona xa befuna uvotelwa bayakubaleka baya phi etrongweni uba masivote babe bahlale phaya sigqiba ubavotela xa siphuma thina ndizazikili ziphume nazo phayana asikwazi ufumana umsebenzi yabo. Andazi uba ke ngokuba bebesithi yiyani for ntoni esikolweni yabo okanye senzele ntoni esi skili yabo ngoba bekumele kaloku bathi kaloku bayacorrecta mosani correctional service so bayacorrect so ngokucorrect wena wonke akho nto ushota ngayo solid yabo. Xa ngoku ufike ngaphandle ngoku azidumi yabo uhlala kumane ugqama ajida kuwo wayemfundisa nomsebenzi uyamfundisa nomsebenzi yabo. Wena ulibele kubhala ucingo ngoba phela uthini indlala iyakubhuqa but utengelo 10 years bafuneke ulinde i-10 years yabo. Kukho ile nto ilaweni i-crime ezikwi-high risk like i-rape i-murder azicimi ezaa zinto eziya zihlala ziphala rekhod ayicimi la rekhod leya yabo. Mna into endifuna kugovernment into yoba athi xa siphuma asinike i-circumstance ngathi bamane bethetha ngayo sisebenze ngoba ntoni sikhorekishiwe mos yabo silungisekile akho nto shota ngayo. I-crime njengenintsi kangaka apha eMzantsi ntoni yindlala nomsebenzi yabo. Bavimba umsebenzi bangohlohlisa bayafida nabo kodwa phaa yabo. Sisuke ejele njengona phuma ejele zange ndazifumani umsebenzi kuthiwa hayi ndasebenza like solid so ndifumana okanye ndenze 3 months okanye ndenze 6 months yabo okanye kwesinye ndijampele uba ha-a lo mntu lona unerekhodi yabo ndibethwe ngecanga bathi mandithini abantu maphinde ndithathe intshisi ndizidonise wenjena
Sizothetha ngaleyo.
bayazibasela mos yabo. That's why zingapheli izinto yabo. But ugovernment xa kelothi yena uphuma phaa enze sure uba uyasebenza uyabo like eAmerica xa uphuma ngeparole okanye uphuma ngentoni uya sitsho uya kule ndawo le kule nto ipha une-qualification zayo uya phaa kulaa ndawo ufike phayana uspane yabo ungabikho nto itsalayo. But apha eMzantsi abasicinezela yabo bahleli phezu kwethu yabo. Nantsi nanothetha manje.
Enkosi Bhuti. As anyone in the room can come up, what has your experience been as ex-offender in terms of privileges that have been taken away from you? Privileges like the freedom you have forever. You can't travel out of the country if you're out on parole. Well, you can vote, but it's even though like you can't apply for the grant, you can't apply for different loans or anything like that. Anyone can answer.
Sisi into eyandisokolisa phela efini yam kakhulu yabo le 5 years bendigotile nilinde enye i-5 years yokuklarifiya intoni i-fingerprint sakho. Kulaa 5 years le nto izayilinda ke ngoku akho msebenzi msongakuthatha because umsebenzi khoyo ngoku kuphela nje i-fingerprint iyethumela straight epolice station in 7 days yabuya i-results. Yabuya i-results sithi uba hayi ex-convict okanye une-criminal record njengoba mna andifumani laa msebenzi sofuna ndiyoxova udaba. Yeyona nto endiyibonileyo leyona sister wam uba ngaske noba bayihlisela minyaka ingathi ibe-5 years at least noba yi-2.5 year yabo okanye loo 18 months yeyona nto endidabuzwayo lezo.
Please, Temela, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, actually, we say mostly they're not from Italy because from my experience, while I was in prison, I've managed to do a self-introspection to find myself, who am I, and then I find that to discover what I am. So I started studying. I do all carpentry, motor mechanic, I do diploma in marketing. So then when I got my diploma, when I came out of prison, I was so fortunate to look for a job. And then I went for an interview, I passed the interview, but when it comes to screening, I couldn't. I was released 2014, 2013, up until today, I'm not working. Whenever I go look for a job, I do have a skill, I do have a school, and then it's so frustrating. You see, it's so far, and then sometimes it could lead me to commit crime because of I know my people. I'm trying all my best to hold myself from committing crime. But when I look at my friends, not that I want to compare myself, those who have achieved, I think that I should have also achieved, but now this criminal record like is suppressing me in one place. I did apply 2017, and then the result came back that I must apply 2021. So luckily I'm waiting for 2021 to come, but I've missed a lot. I'm a family man, I've got kids to support. Sometimes it's hard for even now to go and see my kid because maybe they're gonna ask something and they don't have nothing, even 2 rand to give to my kids. You say like George and Abandwana, they're not longer 5 or 7 years, they are more than 10 years as some of them. So that like is not even a role model. So it makes us to be distanced with Nabandwana, of which even that distance is gonna cause something Babandwana also. As Utabo with it, everything not only started in the street, started home because of the love they didn't get, maybe support the father figure and all those things. I think the government just feel Shaman. I think the government, if government what can do when you go to this program, these skills, and then a sort of agent whereby is gonna employ ex-offenders. And then babe nabantu abazosoloko kulo besimonitor while you are at work, at workplace. So that bakhalelane nathi like lento beyithethile umnganami ukuthi at least the time frame 5 years, at least by decrease, especially kasebenza at least 2.5, because you've been rehabilitated, but now you are stuck in one place now. You can't move, of which you want to move. You see, yeah. I think our government is failing us really.
Is that
Just to add like what they say, I think it's a good point. Because if someone is being punished for what they did wrong, definitely and get the program learn and go outside, you need to have a system, maybe at least maybe like you say, maybe one agency or especially program that follow up to check with people if they should go back and give them a chance, like they can apply the job via that program and control that program to see what they're doing. Because by letting people out, it can lead them, because we like discuss face videos, we mention most of the fact that people like poverty, peer pressure, all these factors, that it's gonna, those factors will come back again and it will lead to go back to do something to survive and then take back the people.
But Tamela, besides is there any other privileges do you think that have been taken away from you? That you think needs to be changed as well?
From now on, yeah, job, yeah, because me, I've got that mindset of I was not born to work for money. Money must work for me. So I've taken that mentality of me looking for a job. You see, because of from different things, because of I've got this criminal record of which I would be surprised to know for money and then couldn't screen you and pass for money of which it happened several times in me. For all these years, from me being out of prison up until now, I go look for a job, I've been called, maybe shortlisted, and then when it's time for me to get a job, criminal record blocks me. So I said, let me not go look for a job. So what I did, I applied entrepreneurial skills to myself, to say, start to sell things, not stolen things, but things. And say that maybe can generate some source of income to me. While I was in prison, I met with Ayanda. Ayanda will come a long way with Ayanda. So I saw a skill to Ayanda, and then that skill triggers me because when I grew up, I used to be in an organization where there was this lady who used to collect us as boys and girls. Some of them did clients or Tinakas we do, Kambu dance and craft and all that. So I looked back and then I said, why can't I do what that has been done with us lady? Because I know it used to help me. I know on Saturday, we're going out here maybe to perform somewhere. So I was aware of crime. And then even I find a place whereby there is someone who cares about me because I have some issues even at home, you see. So what I decided, I've opened an organization also called Induyokhanyo. You see, Induyokhanyo is meaning of Bikonofor. But what is so different and so significant about this organization, we're only dealing with juveniles. Only juveniles. It's an organization for boys, young boys. The reason why we opened this organization, it reflects back to my upbringing and some of us here we've been raised by single parents, we didn't have father figures, and then everything started at home. If you are a boy and there's a girl, your mom will love a girl more than you as a boy. You see, and then they've got that relationship. So we've opened this organization so that we can groom these young boys, try to be a role model, to show them, you see, because we've been into that role, even though we're not perfect, but to give them life skills. To talk about what has happened to us, you see, like they could see from through us what have happened and what led us to commit crime, because we know these pieces, there are those pieces that lead us, some of us, to commit crime. Lack of support the family, not only the family Zalayo, or Malume, or Tabao, people will only look from their own family. My uncle's got their own kids. My uncle will only cater for his own kids. And then if I'm there, I feel sidelined. So those things can trigger someone to do. So that is why we opened that organization. But the challenge that we're having with the organization is funding. We don't get funding. We've been sending emails, try to collaborate with our organization, because we're looking at the future, now in the future. We believe that if we can groom these boys now, when they reach a certain age of 18, because we take boys under 16 years, up to 9, 6, 7 years old. So if we can groom these boys, when they reach the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, at least they can have that life skill to make informed choices. You see? So, but the government and other stakeholders, they don't want to inject funds into the organization. Lack resources. Like when I see this, I would like the organization to have this computer so that the board can be familiar with computer, because we are going to the fourth industrial revolution of everything now. It's gonna be digital, you see. So we need things like this. So yeah, that is my story. Otherwise, we don't need help.
Besides the fact that, and what Mani said is, that you would say really affects you after having come out of prison. What other privileges? How does this, like when it comes to traveling, how does that work? Yeah. Anyone? Yeah, let's take from the back. When it comes to traveling, that you feel like you really struggle to deal with because of the consequences of crime.
Yeah, it was the process. Man can change it in there and answer. It's a one man. The judicial system here has failed us, or has failed South Africa. Let alone some of us have committed crime. But some of us were not in crime, but they made us to be in crime. Understand? And court is not as equal as it claims. Because it says all South Africans all are equal before the law. But we find that it's not. And for instance, in my case, I was just an innocent person. But simply because I was an officer when it comes to standing before the court, then I happened to be in jail for sentence for 6 years. And after that, I realized that the future I am almost in jeopardy. Because I lost all my, I have got a lot of qualifications, academic qualifications, but I lost all those things, and I cannot even use them anymore. And also I realized that I've got a lot of kids to cater to, but most of my kids are really struggling, and I'm trying to make means, but it's not right. I'm not coming right. As my colleague sometimes we try to oppose it, but what's quite opposite because someone just says when I went to this place to be Goodwood, first time you get screened there, you'll ask who are you? What are your qualifications? As if they are going to do anything. Right? But we find that they don't do anything. And I also asked them a question. After I understand that I will stay here for 1,092 days, but what program do you have as an aftercare? They said, no, after your release you see for yourself. What kind of a question was that? You see, because if the aftercare, I'm not saying, I'm not promoting the question, I'm not promoting crime, but after you have committed a crime, then you realize, after most of the inmates as well will witness it, will say, will agree with me, that once a prison, you start to ukuzibhena wena, ukuzijonga wena ukuthi who you are, why are you here, whether you did a crime or not, but you've got a chance to look at yourself. Now, uyenzile yonke le, but ekugqibeleni there's somebody esithi this is our vanguard government, but akenzi into ngaloo nto leyo, akasijongi. For instance, ndifuna ukwazi apha inatsika an ex-inmate eyake yabe kanti yona yaba so lucky to see Minister of Correctional Services akavisite kuthiwa no uvisitile.
Fixed upon the web, I need to kick the habit that my mind